CHRUSDT.com's Daily Brief. The answer to your question is learn the goddamn process, trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief summary video. This is what day is it here today? It is the 10th of January. We are now officially 1/3 of the way through January. So hope you're enjoying the month. Passing by pretty quick, eh? I think I've told everybody we're planning on doing the West Coast crawl, maybe you'd call it. I'm not quite sure. Sort of the first week of February, I'll be traveling down the West Coast, probably hitting Seattle and Oregon, Portland, pop in and see some TRI OGers as well. Joe, which if you've watched any of the Coinigy videos, he's based out of Portland, so we'll be checking in with him. Maybe I might even plan on the 7th to do the Coinigy show from Joe's place. That'd be kind of fun. Joe, if you're watching this, hey, you just were notified I'm going to be in your living room doing the video on that date. Anyway, then we will be heading down through California. And of course, there's Adam over there. He's in Sacramento. That area, and then we're going to be working our way down into LA, latter part of 12th, 13th, 14th. Then we hop on a plane down to San Salvador. Oh my God, where the hell are we going? On the 14th, 15th, and we'll be hanging out with TBG and the TRI gang there on the crypto beach. Bitcoin Beach, I'm not quite sure what you call it, for that week. And then I'll be heading back to LA, and then I'm just going to slowly work my way back up to Vancouver over the course of the last week of February on my own. So February is going to be a lot of traveling. It's just FYI, if you happen to be on the West Coast and you'd like to visit with the Beamish, by all means. And if you'd love to participate in the TRI meetup that we're having down there in El Salvador, second last week of February, we'd love to see you as well. Just an FYI on all that. Today is Wednesday. We had actually a really fun Stock Pickers Club meeting last night. Bunch of names. If you are participating in the stock market, a bunch of names that actually look very attractive down in here. So I think in the after party, we might circle back around, take a look at a few of those names, some of the charts that we drew up last night. I don't think we're going to do a Coinigy show tonight because I think we did one last week. So we might do one next week. And I suppose there's plenty to talk about with crypto and SEC and all that kind of fun stuff. We'll get to that in a minute. And of course, we have Julian and his offering tomorrow on the site. So Thursday started Julian's Day. As you can tell from the dashboard, Stuart and I actually had a very constructive meeting today. Came up with some solid plans around how we're going to, we got these pages up and running. And frankly speaking, just the list alone, I think, is valuable. But the reporting of these crypto pages, the little old lady page, which is basically a replication of the plan that I did back in 15-17 bull. I took $500, turned it into hundreds of thousands, whatever. The list here is solid. And ironically enough, my biggest problem right now is I'm trying to do this on DeFi. And you'll notice, actually, it's interesting. This one isn't even on the list. So even the list is a little bit erroneous. But the biggest problem that I'm having right now in crypto is things like getting filled on these DeFi platforms. It's just a fucking headache. It's stunning how difficult this is. And I've probably spent, I don't know, $30, $40 in Ethereum gas fees. Absolutely nothing to show for it because it's just such a train wreck. Anyway, it is what it is. I will try and sell some. The irony of it all is that my buddy who actually bought these coins for me, he told me that the actual fill price was 11 and a half cents. And I can't even get a double on my investment here at 27, 28 cents. So it's just such an insult, the fees that are associated with this. And I can understand why US senators and stuff are critical of this Ethereum and the stunning fees that people are having to pay to use this. I mean, this system is not working. Having said that, obviously crypto kids, they love their technology, they love it all. I'm an old dinosaur. I had fun trading crude oil, opening range trade here today. If I have an exchange where I have confidence, I can enter orders and I can do what I do. Hey, we can make money from trading. Imagine that. Anyway, this was a fun little opening range trade we did here this morning. And full disclosure, actually, I don't even know. I don't think I have it open. But anyway, I'm about a third of the way to my objective. And I'm doing this very, very small. I think the Top Step guys want me to make $3,000 for this account. That it's the smallest size account that they have, and I'm up about, I don't know, $800-900 or so right now. So baby steps. I'm doing micro contracts, just coming in, running my plan, just doing exactly what I'm supposed to do day in, day out. In this particular case, we did have a nice runner, but unfortunately, the runner got stopped at scratch. So yeah, that's the way it goes. Sometimes, if you can get these runners on, the runner itself will make you quite a bit of money. But I'm pretty happy with what I see here. So it's not really a function of my trading acumen. I mean, the irony of it all is that you can see where I bought this, and you can see, where are W's. I mean, this is everything that I'm trying to teach you people. The biggest problem that I have is dealing with this DeFi space and getting fills. It drives you crazy. And I have a funny feeling I've completely missed that trade. Railroad tracks, broke the bottom of the railroad tracks. I wouldn't be surprised if that's it for the market here in the short term. I suppose the irony of all of this is, you tell me, over the next year or two, have I got any chance of getting that fill at 30 some odd cents? I think so. So really, it's just more semantics. It's more irritation than anything else. I think there's a ton of money to be made on this thing going forward. So, if I have to wait 6 months as this thing backs up, but usually what ends up happening is I tweet out banging out doubles, and then everybody in the public gets angry at me because they blame me for topping the market. But in actual fact, this is just very normal. I wouldn't be surprised, being this is a double, even really a triple off of these lows, that's probably the extent of the rally. And Brian here's just, it's like tilting at windmills. There's not much you can do about it. Anyway, so blah, 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 blah. I mean, I suppose there's worse situations in life to be in. I'm long from here, and I'm bitching and complaining about how I having a hard time selling up here. Am I making money from trading? I suppose I could just hit the bid and take a partial fill. But just be patient. I'll just let that work. So anyway, would you like me to try and teach you how to set yourself up to do exactly this kind of investing? This is the way you make a ton of money at this game. It's up to you. I mean, we do have a new school term coming up, and this is what we will be teaching the next generation of TRIers how to do day in, day out. So anyway, a little bit of rhetoric. I'm not quite sure. Obviously, the conversation du jour with regard to crypto, but we've been talking about this for an awfully long time. Pretty important trend line. This is a cheeky trend line because this is a trend line off of previous peaks, which I do think is actually a perfectly valid way of looking at the market. And it kind of a funny side here. If we use this same logic, just playing connect the dots. I mean, you can see how price respected this line here, had to play with it, went up, then came back down to it, then up, then back down to it, then down, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it really shouldn't surprise us that we're back here now. What's interesting is if I do that same logic on this CHR, look where this thing ultimately is telling us it wants to go. Holy moly. And of course, we expect this market to peak in the fall of 2025. So that's actually right around there. So believe it or not, call me crazy. Most people do. I actually feel very confident that this thing's going to work its way up into there by the time we're done. And usually what ends up happening is the rallies actually is, you know, the like the lion's share of the move actually happens just over a few month or two period. So anyway, going back to Bitcoin, I think that's kind of what you see happening here. Chris is trying to tell me that I'm running out of time. Here's another way to look at that image of Bitcoin. And for whatever it's worth, um, maybe we'll leave off the free video with this. So let's just circle back. First and foremost, January barometer. As January goes, so goes the year. We noticed that there was a bit of a lift the first hour, sort of halfway through that period. Bit of a lift halfway through the first day. A little bit of a lift, not a hell of a lot, but a little bit of a lift there for about halfway through the first week. So not a big surprise that we're probably going to get a lift here through the middle part of January. Also, too, this is an options expiry event. You know, on this big dump, they probably convinced a lot of the public to go and buy put options on the stock market and stocks and stuff. And of course, Wall Street would like those put options that retail just bought to expire worthless. So the best thing to do is they bid prices up. And now all of these puts that people panic bought are all going to expire worthless. I mean, that's just Wall Street 101. I might even argue that if you're thinking like trade location, we're now ultimately getting back into shorting zones. I don't know whether I have that on here or not. Where would I have that? I think I had it over here. Ugh. And there we go. So this is the image that I've been sort of touting here the past week or two. And we'll go down to a 4 hour. You know, we strapped on a short up here, took partial profits, took the all profits down here. Fabulous trade idea. I mean, just absolutely incredible. Big dead cat bounce right back into shorting windows. And now it's just really a quick case of, you know, do we actually start getting M's developing in here to jump back on the short side? Also, too, talking about that middle of January options expiry. So that options expiry event is this Friday. Big leaps. Actually, is it this Friday? I think it is. No, it's next Friday, 19th. So they still have a good week or so of potentially bidding the market up. And that's probably somewhere over there, maybe even over here. So believe it or not, I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to do something along these kind of lines. And then start working our way back down into the end of the month. So that's sort of where I'm thinking with regard to the stock market. Now, if we circle back, talk a little bit about what happened in the Bitcoin market overnight. I get the feeling that we actually ran into a very significant trend line there. And this is sort of the tweet that I put out yesterday was, you know, a lot of people looking at what's happening with the SEC, and it's just an absolute disaster. I mean, these baby boomers, it's remarkable to see how they've completely dismantled all credibility in our society. I mean, I don't know whether it's where's the best place to show you this? I was tweeting this out sort of yesterday. But you know, this whole SEC and Gensler and all that kind of crap. I mean, it's stunning how irresponsible all of this is. And frankly speaking, and unfortunately, a lot of people in the public will just never see this. Although I'm not quite sure where I have this. Won't be there. Maybe over here. No. Too many damn tabs. I always do this every day. Somewhere in all of this, I've got, yeah, I guess we could do. And for whatever it's worth, why am I not talking econs here today? Well, it turns out there aren't literally no econs. We had the oil inventories number come out, slight build, and the gasoline stocks, huge build there. And actually, you can see week after week, they are really building up gasoline stockpiles. So I wouldn't be surprised if gas prices have to come back down. But you can see there really wasn't a hell of a lot of econs here today. So that's really why I'm not talking econs with you guys. It is interesting how this sort of scuttlebutt is. And I've talked to you guys repeatedly about this. I absolutely, wholeheartedly, 100% believe United States of America is not the place to be looking for a recession. It's not even a weak part of the story. The weak part is China and that joke of a bubble there. It does look like Asia's trying to firm up here a little bit, so that should be interesting. But I actually think Europe could be in really big trouble here. I am hearing that the Portuguese are starting to get a little scared about their real estate markets and all that kind of fun stuff. So, and really, China, duh. All the commodity countries, they're the ones that are in big trouble here. I don't think the United States has anything to worry about. Having said that, you might get a pullback, especially, with election year performance, what to expect. First 6 months of the year, things are kind of soft because the Fed's raised interest rates so much. But I still think that the U.S. economy and the sort of U.S. consumer is actually in very good position. Whereas, the Europeans, I actually think are in really, really bad position. So this is where you should be looking for disasters in the world, not the U.S. And interestingly enough, Canada, because it is basically the U.S.'s little cousin, it should be propped up if the U.S. is doing relatively well. It's basically what happened to Canada in the early 1980s, in the early 1940s, for that matter, I guess latter part of 40s. And then, of course, the 1950s, it was all about low inflation because Europe, of course, was reeling following the end of the Second World War, as well as Asia. I might argue that 2030s, I think you could see a really, really bad time for Europe and Asia. And ironically enough, North America has relatively low inflation because of the poor economic situation in Asia and Europe. And the Americas actually do relatively well. I can't really comment on South America. That's another conversation altogether. Anyway, so all right, let's finish off this free broadcast. Just a little talk here about Bitcoin. I get the impression that because we were at such a significant level, we have like this institutional fingerprint, local left, we're coming into a very important level here, this high 48 to 35 area on this stamp Bitcoin chart. You also notice too, we're coming into this mountain man level, 61.8 fib. I've been talking to you guys at length about this and how it seems like almost every cycle, this was a 61.8 tag. And if we go all the way back here, before the halvening event right here, this was a 61.8 tag. So I do think that the 61.8 tag had to happen. But I would imagine that there are a lot of people in the marketplace that are seeing this exact same line. I mean, I see it right across social media and stuff. Tons and tons of people have this line on their charts. And a lot of people are like, oh, wow, what a big surprise. Now, what interests me about this is that there's probably a lot of institutional players that would like to do a trade there. But if you have all the public stuff all participating here, well, it's going to make it awfully difficult for the institutional players to do what they want to do. So to maybe, what's the word I'm looking for? Discourage the public through jacking up their emotional anxiety because of things like this doofus. and the way that he has completely mismanaged his job. I mean, I hate to say it, these regulators and stuff are actually supposed to operate in the background where you don't even really know them. This guy is like fucking on the front page of everything all the time. He's constantly in the news and in the media and stuff. And the way that this whole quote unquote uh, news hack, Twitter hack, social media, I mean, the whole thing smacks of market manipulation. And of course, the worst part about this, and and maybe that's what we leave off on, is this all happened right in here. And I actually think that this guy and this guy, I think they're related. I think they're cousins. But it's interesting how, Bitcoin just doing its thing. It's interesting how we had a little bit of a warning shot here that, hey, there might be trouble brewing. Then we get this absolutely horrendous candle on this doofus's complete fumbling of his job. I don't think, like in the history, this guy should go down as like the absolute worst Securities and Exchange Commission chairman there could possibly be. I can't believe a guy could do a worse job than what he's doing, other than maybe Joseph P. Kennedy himself and the way that he was so bloody corrupt. But anyway, that's another conversation for another day. Um, but I was even posting out messages and stuff yesterday, just basically saying that, based on the fact that they injected a whole bunch of uncertainty into the market with all of that crazy, insane quote unquote news. What I think is happening now here is it was sort of like this was a buy the rumor, sell the news kind of scenario. And as long as there was the rumor that a whole bunch of Bitcoin ETFs are coming to market, and it was sort of like this was a future event that we're all going to look forward to, then great, just keep bidding up the market. But now what I see here, and I couldn't believe this when I saw this yesterday, this has got to be a warning to all of you. Please look how many Bitcoin ETFs they have planned coming down the pike here. This is insane. So I don't know. Is there such a thing as supply and demand? Have you ever heard that concept? What happens when all of these Bitcoin ETFs all come to the market all at exactly the same time? Is this not going to absolutely overwhelm the market with supply? I hope you guys see that this has got trouble written all over it. It's quite concerning. And if anything, what bothers me, of course, is that they sure have jacked up all of this. It's going to be across all news headlines. And then, doofus here. And I do find it hilarious, right? That, the sell the news, right? Because look at that SEC coming, and then all of a sudden this post all of a sudden disappears. Why? Well, because they're saying, well, the account was compromised, hacked, or whatever. And if anything, I thought this is an absolute perfect meme. Somebody posted this lounge. I said, like, this is perfect. This is exactly the world that we live in, where these dinosaurs, this doofus, he's like literally being embarrassed by this young generation and the way that they're just being played here. I find the whole thing, it just smacks of corruption. And so what I just basically pointed out was, following that event, I think, obviously you had some absolute insane volatility. That's your Darth Maul candle kind of idea. And what I just simply said was, if we do continue to accept higher, then I think it means that the buy the rumor, the ETFs are not coming, all that kind of talk is just going to continue on. However, if this thing actually does break down and we start to A, B, C, D our way lower, I think the cat's out of the bag. And this now actually, I think, becomes the sell the news event. So it is interesting to look at price action this morning. You can see through most of the evening, they were just like, we don't know what to do. The futures themselves actually gapped higher, on sort of like, oh no, the SEC says that was all a mistake, and no, we don't plan to approve any ETFs or whatever. And then the market started to roll over. Now I don't know whether they can recapture this range or not right now, but I get the impression some technical damage has been done here. And what I would also say too is, just try and put the price into perspective. Why would the price be so jittery up here? And frankly speaking, I think a lot of institutional players are looking for the sell the news scenario here. Um, the fact that the SEC has completely botched this up, I don't think is an accident. In fact, actually, I might even argue that all of those ETF issuers, some of them, are pretty big players on Wall Street. I think that they actually gave direct orders to the SEC to finesse all of this. And let's send out a couple of false warnings and let's see if we can wash out some weak hands. And I think that's exactly what this process is they're trying to wash out as many weak hands as possible. Anyway, that's my interpretation of what I see happening in the market right now. For whatever it's worth, this isn't actually a sell signal. What this to me looks like is that we rallied into probably a liquidity pool. There were probably quite a few people that would like to sell up here, but they've injected a lot of sort of uncertainty and volatility. And now those people are going to make emotional decisions. They're probably going to hit the bid, and sell into this down market, which of course the Joey Diamonds, the Goldman Sachses of the world, they love that kind of stuff. Wicks and tails like to be eaten. I wouldn't be surprised if we have to trade right back up and eat a big chunk of this wick up top here. And then those people that were sort of panic selling and getting into the emotion of all this, they end up cursing and being all angry and all that kind of stuff. So all I'm going to say here with regard to this price action is it doesn't surprise me that what you saw happen yesterday happened. It doesn't surprise me one bit. To actually get an outright sell signal here, I think I actually need to see a little bit more sort of ME type action. We have a V top and V bottoms here. If this actually is a real top, then my hunch is we probably, this might turn into what's called like an Adam and an Eve. So there's your Adam, then we rally up and then we put in some sort of Eve and we break down below the trend line in earnest on some sort of structural signal. Having said that, in a weird sort of way, this bot is still floating out there. And now that they've got a whole bunch of weak hands all freaking out here and probably not doing very like professional trades, what do you think the odds are that maybe they'll just go up and, I don't know, let's go and run some stops up top here and see if we can hunt some cheap liquidity. Don't be surprised to see that as well. I will finish off this video with just a quick comment on this crypto total market. If we change this to a line chart, there is no M here yet. And what I've been telling people on the site is, we have to actually start seeing some bearish market structure here for us to actually start talking about breakdowns here. And I just don't see it yet. So just got to be patient. We are definitely up in nosebleedy territory, so you can't be a buyer here. It's just a question of how do you get trades off. And like I said, I'm having fun right now. I wouldn't buy this thing right here. That's crazy. But can I sell halves on doubles and establish a risk-free trade so I'm in a position of strength? That's exactly my mindset through this whole rally window. Is I'm just establishing risk-free trades, establishing, good basic business. How do you run a small business of trading for profit? That's what I'm doing right now. I am in sort of harvesting mode. So, if you bought Bitcoin at the bottom and you want to harvest some of your gains here, I really don't have a problem with that whatsoever. And I would actually encourage everybody to do that, just so you always are playing from a position of strength. Like if you go and buy Bitcoins right here, understanding that, I hate to say it, but V bottoms usually like to be tested. If you buy Bitcoins here, technically that's your risk window all the way down there. Very, very risky transaction. I couldn't endorse that. So, okay, that's your summary video here for today. I hope you got some value out of that. I talked quite a bit more than I was expecting, but what the hell, once you get the Beamish going, it's pretty damn hard to stop the guy. So, have yourselves a great day. PMA for the win. Slow and steady wins the race. Remember what your number one job is. Don't take no win nickels. And bye.